Welcome back to Forgotten Genocides, the unyielding inferno where we wrench the gag from history's mutilated mouth. Today, we hurl ourselves into the maw of oblivion with how the Holocaust became the deadliest genocide in history. The industrialized apocalypse that devoured 6 million Jewish souls, plus millions more in a vortex of venom, the deadliest cataclysm of calculated cruelty humanity has ever forged. Envision it, a world of woven lives, rabbis reciting psalms under olive branches, merchants haggling with the joy of shared tomorrows, lovers sealing vows in candlelit synagogues, ripped asunder by a machine of madness that turned brothers into butchers, neighbors into Nazis. Over the next 20 minutes, we'll claw through the veins of venom, the venomous seeds of antisemitism's rot, the Einsatzgruppen's bullet-riddled rampage, the gas chamber's poison kiss, the ghetto's starving screams, the death march's frozen despair. Viewer discretion. This truth will flay your soul alive. Its education baptized in the ashes of Auschwitz, a reckoning that demands your tears and your thunder. If the ghosts of the 6 million howl in your blood, subscribe now and rise with us. Let's shatter the silence, or be buried beneath its weight. To unleash this behemoth, we must burrow into the festering womb of its birth, not the tidy final solution of 1942's Wannsee, but the eons of European bile that birthed the beast. Antisemitism, that primordial poison, slithered from medieval blood libels, Jews accused of crucifying Christ anew, their wells poisoned with plague, their ghettos gates of scorn. The Enlightenment's reason was a ruse. Voltaire's venom and Dreyfus affairs, Dreyfus's degradation in 1894 France. A Jewish officer framed, paraded in shame, mobbed with cries of death to the Jews, ignited the fuse. What the annals asphyxiate, the pseudoscience of savagery, eugenics' foul gospel, where racial hygiene branded Jews vermin, their blood a threat to Aryan purity. By 1919, Hitler's Mein Kampf spewed the blueprint, a struggle for living space, where 11 million undesirables must be purged. The Weimar Republic's fragility, the Great Depression's despair, turned whispers to war cries. 1933's Nuremberg laws stripped citizenship like skin from flesh, stars sewn on sleeves a scarlet sentence. Up to that point, pogroms like Kishinev's 1903 slaughter, 49 Jews hacked in streets, their blood a river of ridicule, were spasms of hate. But the Holocaust, a systematic supernova, the deadliest because it weaponized the state into a slaughterhouse, turning bureaucracy into butchery, trains into tombs. Feel the tremor? This wasn't madness, it was method. Europe's enlightened heart rotting to reveal the maggots within. 1939's invasion of Poland wasn't conquest, it was the curtain raiser to carnage. The Einsatzgruppen's death squads, the opening act of apocalypse. What chronicles choke in civility? The Holocaust by bullets. 1.5 million Jews, Roma, Poles mowed down in ravines, their bodies layered like cordwood in pits that wept for weeks. Babi Yar, September 1941. 33, 771 souls herded to Kiev's chasm, stripped, beaten, machine-gunned into eternity. Mothers shielding toddlers, their final embrace shattered by lead's kiss, the earth convulsing with the dying. SS Obersturmführer Paul Blobel, that butcher in boots, orchestrated the excavations, his men laughing as dogs gnawed the wounded. The ghettos, Warsaw's wire-wrapped wound, Lodz's labyrinth of loss, weren't prisons. They were previews of perdition, 400,000 crammed into a square mile of starvation and squalor. What the pages palliate. The daily damnation, ration cards for bread dust, typhus feasting on fevered frames, children foraging in sewers for scraps while SS selections culled the unfit like livestock. The Warsaw Ghetto, 1940-1943, wasn't mere misery. It was a cauldron of courage, where the Jewish fighting organization forged Molotovs from milk bottles. Sewers became sanctuaries of sabotage. Up to 500,000 perished in these cages, their bodies stacked like cordwood, burned in barrack blazes when the plague proved too potent. Adam Chernyakov, the Judenrat's broken heart, penned diaries of despair, swallowing cyanide rather than sign death warrants for his own. The deadliest in its deliberate dehumanization. Artisans crafting coffins for the living, rabbis reciting Kaddish over mass graves, lovers stealing kisses in the shadow of the wall. This wasn't containment, it was cultivation of corpses. The ghetto's ghosts groaning for the gas that would solve the problem. Feel their famine? Bones brittle as brittle hope, eyes hollowed by hunger's hollow, a people's pride pulverized to powder. Yet in that powder, seeds of uprising stirred, a spark in the storm that would ignite the world's conscience too late. 1941's Wannsee Conference wasn't a meeting. It was Murder's Manifesto, 15 men in suits sketching the blueprint for 11 million's end, the final solution, a euphemism for extermination's elegance. What the ledger leaves languid, the camp's crescendo, Auschwitz-Birkenau's maw, where 1.1 million were funneled through gates of Arbeit macht frei, a lie etched in irony. The deadliest in its diabolical efficiency, Zyklon B pellets dropping like deadly snow, chambers filling with screams, silenced in seconds, Sonderkommando Jews forced to shovel the soot of their sisters from crematoria throats. Mengelé's angel of death, that white-coated demon, dissected twins in his lab of lunacy, eyes harvested for experiments, bones broken for science's sake, up to 3,000 children his playthings in perversion. Treblinka, Sobibor, Belzec, the Operation Reinhard triad where 1.7 million vanished in 18 months, trains arriving like clockwork to the Charnel's chime. Up to 6 million Jews, 5 million others, Roma, disabled, homosexuals, Slavs, fed to the furnace, their ashes fertilizing fields where wildflowers mock the morning. The scale? A genocide that industrialized infamy, turning human herds into human harvest, the deadliest because it dared to dream of total erasure, a void where a people once painted the world with poetry and prayer. How can we behold such blackness? The stars themselves wept cyanide. The moon hid from man's monstrosity. 1945's death marches weren't retreats. They were requiems on the road. 250,000 Jews driven from camps in winter's wrath. The SS's parting gift of perdition. What the chronicles compress to casualty counts. The cataclysm of the cull. Bergen-Belsen's survivors. Skeletons in stripes, stumbling through snowdrifts knee-deep in despair. Guards gunning the stragglers, wolves feasting on the fallen. Up to 250,000 perished in this purgatory, their feet flayed to bloody rags, mothers carrying babes till arms gave out, the air a chorus of coughs and cries. Dachau's death parade, 2,000 miles of misery, where the weak were whipped to wings, the frozen flung into ditches like discarded dolls. The deadliest in its desperate denouement. As Allies closed in, Nazis accelerated the apocalypse, burning records, blowing bunkers, leaving labyrinths of limbs for liberators to lament. Eisenhower, eyes seared by Dachau's dawn, forced GIs to witness, lest the world whitewash the woe. Up to 11 million total, the Holocaust's harvest. A genocide that scaled from pogroms to planetary peril, the deadliest. Because it weaponized the world against itself, turning trains to tombs and humanity to horror. Hear their last breaths? A symphony of suffering that still shudders the stars. The Holocaust's zenith of zeniths? Not numbers, but the nadir of the human soul, a genocide that became deadliest through deliberate demonic design. From bullets' barbarity to gases' gentle genocide, from ghettos' grind to marches' massacre, a machine that murdered methodically 6 million Jews, vaporized in a veil of venom, their absence an eternal eclipse. Feel the fracture? Families flensed from existence, fiddles forever silenced in Krakow's cafes, Einsteins extinguished before their equations could eclipse the stars. The scale, a black hole of being where 2,000 trains ferried 3 million to death's door, where Birkenau's ovens belched 24/7, where the angel of death danced on children's graves. But in this void, valor vaulted. Warsaw's uprising, 700 fighters holding 13,000 Nazis for a month of miracles, Sobibor's revolt, prisoners storming fences with spoons forged to freedom, Denmark's defiance, 7,200 Jews ferried to safety in fishing boats under Nazi noses. Up to 3 million survived, their scars a scorched earth testimony, the deadliest because it dared the divine, yet failed to fully extinguish the spark. How can we comprehend such cataclysm? The universe itself recoiled, the deadliest genocide not in death's tally, but in the daring to dream of a world without wonder, without the wanderers who wove its wonders. We must wail their names, or the void claims us all. The Holocaust's legacy, a laceration on liberty's ledger, birthing the 1948 Genocide Convention, Nuremberg's gallows for 12 architects of annihilation, Israel's rebirth from the rubble, a phoenix forged in fire's forge. Yet shadows stalk, denial's daggers in Iran's halls, antisemitism's snakes slithering in streets, up to 1 in 4 Americans blind to the blaze. The untold, survivors' unbreaking alchemy, Viktor Frankl finding meaning in Mauthausen's muck, Elie Wiesel wielding words as weapons against the void. Sources: Raul Hilberg's The Destruction of the European Jews for the Machinery's Math, Primo Levi's If This Is a Man for the Marrow of Misery, USHMM's Vaults for the Unvarnished Verdict, Yad Vashem's Yad for the Yahrzeit of the Yehudi. If this apocalypse annihilated your illusions, if the 6 million ghosts grip your gut like a vice, like this video, unleash your lament in comments. Which thread of this tapestry of terror tugs hardest at your heart? Share to scorch the shadows. Subscribe to Forgotten Genocides for more maelstroms, like our next mauling of the Rwandan Rift. Thank you for withstanding the whirlwind with us. In their undying light, we defy the dark.